Welcome back, webheads, to the Mediocre Spider Mat, your one-stop shop for radioactive spider schlock. And it doesn't get any schlockier than today's game, which was enthusiastically voted in by those of you down at the Flophouse VIP Patreon, who I guess felt like punishing me for some previous transgression. Fair enough though, I'm game. It's been a long time since I've ever even thought about Spider-Man: The Return of the Sinister Six for the NES. I mean, wait! My mat sense is tingling. Whatever, I don't care. Bring it on! Like most of us know by now, no, LJN did not develop this game. In fact, they didn't develop many games, for they were merely a publisher, but a publisher that couldn't have cared less about their products like nobody's business. They were acquired by Acclaim in 1990, most likely to get around Nintendo's "you can only publish so many games per year" restriction. As for the actual studio behind Sinister Six, well, that was Bit Studios. You may remember them from not a lot at all. That's not true. They did develop the awful Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the awful Last Action Hero, and the awful Wolverine Adamantium Rage. That's also not fair to say. That game at least has a memorable title screen bopper. Wolverine. Ooh, yeah, that's a fire! Anyway, Bits were clearly in the business of pumping out licensed fare to keep the lights on, and I can respect that because it's the type of hustle that's appropriate for Alien 3 or Last Action Hero, but this is goddamn Spider-Man, and goddamn Spider-Man's debut on the most popular 8-bit gaming console of all time. So you obviously go into such a thing with a certain level of excitement, especially if you were a kid. Oh, I wonder what this game's about. What are the Sinister Six up to? How is Spidey gonna stop it? What spectacular storyline from the mighty house of Marvel will this be based on? Dr. Octopus is plotting the crowning caper of his criminal career, rule the world. He has reunited Sinister Six. Nothing stands in their way except Spider-Man. Then Electro shocks your asshole and level 1. Go! What, that was it? Look, I know it's the NES and storytelling was never its forte, but come on, there was Metal Gear, Ninja Gaiden, Golgo 13, lots of action games on the system could give you a story. And I'm not sure how many of you realize, but Sinister Six was made in 1992. The SNES and Genesis had been out for years. This wasn't some sort of weird experimental first attempt at the character from the mid-80s, even though this kinda looks it. Now, this is only my personal theory, but Return of the Sinister Six seems like it was just a small part of a bigger plan. LJN somehow conned Marvel into giving them the console video game rights for the wall crawler, and they weren't content with just making one game for one platform. Oh no, this was a huge scheme to sucker in kids. Sinister Six came out for the NES, the Master System, and the Game Gear, while Spider-Man and the X-Men in Arcade's Revenge launched on the SNES and Genesis at almost the exact same time. So yeah, this was just a throwaway game for the 8-bit peasants, while the 16-bit version got the lion's share of the attention, so maybe I should stop expecting things like a story. Alright, so the controls are just, you can jump, punch, and kick, jumping and attacking, sometimes web swings. I think you have to push both at the same time. I'm starting to understand why Spidey avoided the NES for so long. 2 buttons is just barely enough to replicate his moveset. Jeez, that reminds me, I'd hate to play Spider-Man on the 2600. Don't vote for that! Anyway, you go around attacking homeless people and holy crap, I always thought Spidey pulled his punches so he doesn't, become a murderer. But here he jibs everyone that's stupid enough to cross his path. Fuck your life! A weird choice for a superhero game, but you do you, Bit Studios. After about 45 seconds of running to the right, that's 1-1 completed. Not much to say if I'm going to be honest. 1-2, however, is a different beast, and not in the fun rhino way, but more of that stinky vermin way. It's a bunch of industrial platforms, and it's really hard to tell what you can jump or wall crawl on and what you can't, which is really similar to how every stage works, actually. There's lots of dudes shooting left, right, and center, and an unreasonable amount of signs that all say, This is also the first stage that lets you know Spidey can collect very specific items that let him progress very specifically, like this scintillating sequence right here. Fantastic. Now, despite Peter clearly going through a locked door, he kind of falls out of the sky and into 1-3, the boss level. Now is a good time to break down how this game works and never really changes. There's always one, sometimes two stages that vary slightly in complexity, but both the exact same amount of annoying. These then always culminate in a baffling showdown with the next member of the Sinister Six, and since we got our gooch electrified in that opening scene, that'll make it Max Dillon himself, Jamie Foxx. The deadly opening gambit that Max Fox Electro Face employs here is to just kind of aimlessly float around. Since there's not much else to do here while you wait for him to wander over to you, it's here where you'll notice the music of Sinister Six. Which I can't decide if it's good or bad. There's this sort of kitchen sink approach to the compositions here where it just sounds like a bunch of random 8-bit noises and bleeps that still somehow kinda work. This is technically music. We are now coming up to the most famous part of this game, as made so by the nerd. You simply just stand here and wait for Electro Face to drift towards you, at which time you should attempt to nail him with a jump kick. A jump kick? I said jump kick! Okay, it takes a while, yes, but it really isn't that hard. If you do lose a life here though, I strongly suggest you reset the game, which is something I'll get to a bit later, unfortunately. Once you've murdered Electro with your bare feet, you are then treated to the next quote-unquote cutscene. Sandman appears with a face of fury. Hey, yo! I gotta say, this next level was designed by a madman. A lot of chain climbing, item collecting, and rat killing. Actually, not a lot of rat killing. These guys are hard to hit and start bullying Spider-Man so hard and so fast, it's best to just avoid them. Alright, so I need to get up here and... Jesus, handmade Christ, they're really a problem. If the Sinister Six had hired an all-rat army, this adventure would end right here. Uncle Ben is still dead. Game over. You need 2 mysterious items to exit this stage. You'd think you'd just need this one vague pink box that says TNT, but no, you also need the detonator, I guess? Now go wade through the bloodthirsty swath of rats again, and bam! Spidey lays down the TNT. Then, nothing happens. You can hammer, start, and select, punch and jump your little spider heart out, it don't matter. You need to backtrack just a little bit before he plunges the detonator and destroys the obstruction. Why was this necessary? Why couldn't we just use the keys again, or not have this at all? In addition, since this game was released in 1992, we're gonna refer to Spider-Man's Marvel Universe Series 3 trading card. And yeah, right here, strength 4! You're telling me he can't punch through a pink crate? Alright, so Sandman's next. He just appears and reappears in this weird cave section where you punch the ever-loving shit out of him, and that's it. Again, I know it's the NES, and I'm not asking for Metroid Dread quality boss fights, but at least have something interesting going on. There have been lots of memorable encounters across various NES games, so would it have killed them to have Flint here make some sand walls or quicksand traps in the ground? Are you listening, Bit Studios? Oh wait, you went out of business 15 years ago. Level 3, Spider-Man hunts for Jake Gyllenhaal, the Master of Illusion. Okay, so more industrial lab shit. You jump around, you avoid guns, and then you collect this thing. Sunglasses, anal beads. Give me your best guess in the comments. Anyway, so what am I playing this on the Virtual Boy now? They're like X-ray specs? I can now see this level in any spectrum, whatever spectrum this is. Okay, not sure what this changes exactly other than the screen color. You know, it's really starting to feel like the devs had some random NES code lying around from an abandoned, unrelated game and slapped Spidey's ass all over it, but I digress. I also digress in trying to beat this level just because of these enemies right here. Not sure if they're real or illusions, but they do damage. In fact, they do so much damage, your best bet is to jump kick, which sends you sailing through them onto the other side, where you should just start to leg it. These ghouls are usually placed in tight corridors too, so you're always better served running away from them rather than going toe to toe. It's just like Uncle Ben's famous last words, with great power comes great cowardice. I hope you have tons of spider juice left over, because the fight with Mysterio, Mysterios, is an unbridled war of attrition. If I haven't given out about this before, I'll give out about it now. Finishing stages does not replenish your health. Picking up items also does not replenish your health. It seems the only way to regain a pip is by killing every 3rd, 5th, 10th enemy. I don't know, it's gotta be tied to the point somehow. Just sometimes, when you knock someone's block off, bam, more health. This leads to some boss fights, like this one, being pretty much impossible to beat the first time around. You have to drain Mysterio's health bar 3 times because, I don't know, he made 2 other Robo Mysterios because he's Mysterio. After killing Mysterio, you then move on to Vulture swoops for Spider-Man. Fuck this stage. Let me just get that out there right now. It's a slight variation on the very first level, just 1,000 times more annoying. You have rocket launcher guys who do one thing, launch rockets straight at you with no warning. Then Vulture will swoop down, which I guess I was pre-warned about, but it feels like he tracks you before letting loose a volley of bombs. And on top of that, sometimes more bombs will just pelt you from on high. It's ridiculous. If you go too slow, you die. If you go too fast, you die, but only faster. And here's about the time where I should go into this game's lives mechanic. You have 1 life and 1 continue, meaning you only really have 2 lives. 2 lives to finish 6 stages. And because of the fact you don't regain spider juice at the start of each stage, you really can't afford to lose a life before this. Sinister 6 also lacks battery saves and even passwords. Like, no passwords? Really? In 1992? Why can't we have a fun Mega Man style password screen? The kids would have loved that. So, to be honest, this was as far as I got. Vulture's first stage. After that, you fight Vulture. It looks like this. Then Hobgoblin, who looks like this. Man, I think this might be the only game where Classic 616 Hobgoblin is a boss. Oh wait, no, he was in the animated series game on SNES. Oh wait, no, that was Jack-O-Lantern. Finally, we have Doc Ock. If you were expecting some big, cool, epic boss fight, well, why? All the other ones have been super lame, so why expect any different now? All you really have to do is crouch, then stun lock him with repeated punches to his one-eyed octopus. After that, the game immediately cuts to this screen where Spider-Man has grown into a giant and lords this new power over the 6 defeated villains. The end. The Sega Master System is almost the exact same game, but better in some key areas. It controls and plays about the same, but it is more pleasant visually. Spider-Man's eye holes are the correct color for starters. The game is also way easier with multiple lives, and the cutscene art is different. It's no diamond in the rough, but if you need your Sinister 6 fix, this is the version to play. Now, was there anything I liked about this at all? There is a goofy charm to it, I'll give it that, and the music is so bad it's almost good, but at the end of the day, this is a bog standard dishwater NES platformer that really doesn't do the character any justice. There's way worse superhero games on the system, like X-Men and Silver Surfer, but it's that release date, 1992, which makes this oh so much worse. I know Nintendo's 8-bit powerhouse was old news by this point, but you'd still think the first and only NES Spider-Man game would have had a little bit more ambition than not at all. With that said, I unenthusiastically award Spider-Man Return of the Sinister 6 1.5 Mysterios out of 5. It is the worst Spider-Man game with the words Sinister 6 in the title.
Mustard, peanut butter, milk.
Oh wait, that's not true at all. And if you out there would like me to web up another Spider-Man game review, shout it out in the comments below, over on my Twitter, or swing into the Flophouse VIP Patreon to become J. Jonah Jameson and yell at me to get the pictures of whatever game you want to see next. Excelsior, true believers, and I'll see you next time on the Mediocre Spider-Mat.